In the hockey season of 1990-91, the BC Hockey League came to Chilliwack. And once again, this town had hockey fans. This is the story of 16 great seasons of Chilliwack Chiefs hockey, told by the people who lived it, dedicated to the volunteers and fans who made hockey history in Chilliwack, British Columbia.
We all know the Chiefs play in Surrey or Chiefs play in Vernon. There's a good couple hundred fans there, and that's because Chilliwack is a true hockey town.
Right from the start, the fans were unbelievable and became notorious in some ways, but very well respected around the hockey world.
When the old Coliseum started coming down a couple of years ago, I started digging into it a little bit, and there's some great stories out there.
This team has meant a lot to the city. It's meant bringing people together like nothing else does.
It was a wake-up call for me to see how dedicated and how committed and how badly they wanted a winner in Chilliwack.
It's just amazing how each and every spring they bring the whole community together.
In time for the 1990-91 season, the Brew family brought the team to Chilliwack.
Well, my father was approached in the summer of 1988. There was another individual that was interested in buying the Richmond Sockeyes Junior A Hockey Club and hoping to save it from folding. The other individual approached my dad, and although he didn't have hockey savvy, he had a great community consciousness as well as business savvy. He ended up buying the Richmond Sockeyes. We ran the team in Richmond for 2 years and tried to develop a strong community bind. It didn't happen after a lot of money poured into it, and we were approached by some individuals in Chilliwack. So we did take that chance in the summer of '90, moving the Sockeyes to Chilliwack, and from there on in it was a very strong marriage. We as an organization did our thing as far as being quality people and quality hockey teams, and the community of Chilliwack certainly did their part in supporting us.
The offensive output of that first-year team by guys like Joey Potskin, Bill McGilvery, Mark Gagnon, Dan Steen, it was incredible. Averaged over 6 goals a game. The second year was a little bit more defensive, but it was still an exciting time for the Chiefs. And I rarely come into this building, into a Chiefs game, without hearing one of the fans or more talking about those guys from that first year. Potskin, Gagnon are still names you hear a lot.
Chilliwack on the power play. Now Black over to White. Here's White on the left point. Centers it right in front of Gagnon. Shoots it. Goal! Fraser gets it to the blue line and out. Here's Potskin now trying to race away. He's being hooked from behind by Ingram. Potskin shoots, scores! That's a good goal by Potskin. He's being harassed all the way down that breakaway. Sticks to the legs, the arms, and the face. Nice little one-handed shot between the legs.
In the third year, things didn't go so well, but they rebounded quickly, and it was actually that third year's only year Chilliwack's never didn't make the playoffs.
It was the 1992-93 season when sports reporter Dale Corey came to town.
They missed the playoffs that season. Dono Menard started as head coach, and I think it was only 8 or 12, 14 games into it. I remember coming to a Chiefs practice one day, and Al Brew was standing up there, and I hadn't really met Al at that point, who is by far one of the nicest people that you could ever meet in an organization of any kind whatsoever. Standing there saying, I said, yeah, I came to talk to Dono. Oh, well, you better come and talk with me. So then he informed me that he let Dono go and brought Orland Curtin back out. Orland, of course, everybody knows, former NHL star with the Canucks and other teams. Coached the Richmond Sockeyes for Al when the team was there. They moved out to Chilliwack. Orland came back out and just could not get things going. It didn't change much for the Chiefs. There were a bunch of players that really didn't want to be here, and a few young guys that worked their tails off, but it just didn't matter. And people will remember one night in Penticton. It stands out vividly in my mind because of how bad it went and how many times I had to say he shoots, he scores in one night, which was, I don't know, I lost count, 25-26. I think they lost 24-2, 22-4, 22-3. I don't know, it was bad. However, whichever score you want to use. But I always remember getting off the bus at McDonald's after that game, and of course those veterans who didn't give a damn just wanted to get their $7 and go get their Big Mac, and there were some young players just devastated at what had just happened. The worst loss they'd ever suffered. This was junior A hockey. And Orland just kind of sitting there with his head in his hands in the front seat where the coach always sits on a bus, shaking his head, and then I could only think what he must have been thinking of. Why did I do this? Why? I mean, I played NHL hockey. I played with the best, and look at where I'm at now. Of course, Orland is a great guy working for the BCHL and does a tremendous job for them, and tried to do what he could that year with that team, and it just didn't go anywhere. The next season, Harvey Smeal came in, and the rest is pretty much history. It's been a successful franchise, never missed playoffs since then.
Back then it was just the fourth season in a row that we were starting with a new coach, so it wasn't a big news story.
But what it turned out to be was perhaps the most important thing to happen in Chilliwack Chiefs history: the hiring of Harvey Smeal.
They had not had a very good year the year prior. It was a tough go for them. They had a lot of, I think, just some organizational problems more than anything. It was a matter of getting the right group of guys together, the right mixture. It was kind of a bumpy year for us. For me personally, it was a matter of identifying who we wanted to go into the following year with, and get the character kids and the good kids, and kind of weed out the process and plug in some pieces for the upcoming season. One of the things we had identified from the year prior was goaltending was a concern for us. We didn't have great goaltending in the end in that Kelowna series, so we started with that position with getting Menard in goal that year. That was important, but I think the big player transaction of that spring was getting the deal for Nelson. He was a real character kind of kid both on and off the ice, but he certainly brought the experience, the willing to compete, the desire to win, the team unity thing. They brought it together on and off the ice. And then Krog came, he didn't have the greatest year prior because of the knee injury, and Zerba, and just getting the right pieces. But it started with the goaltending, and we added, Nelson, I think Chris LaRue, a bunch of those kind of kids, and good character kids. Jeff Trembecki was kind of a later fall addition to our program who put up some big numbers. Just good kids to be around. But it was the type of kids that you had that you knew when it was crunch time that this group of kids would probably do whatever it took to win, and certainly they should prove that throughout the year.
Game 6 of the 1995 series versus Kelowna and Chilliwack was a shining moment in Chiefs history.
That was an unbelievable Game 6. When the back and forth, Menard going out, Corey Deutsch going in goal. I mean, the guys, when something like that happens, there's a sense of, a real sense of emergency or urgency that comes into play, and you could feel it on the bench that these guys were, they really kicked it in a gear, and the shots were a lot in our favor, I believe, in that overtime. We really seemed to pepper them, but when Mike got bumped, it was a matter of, I think our guys really we're going to do, just like I mentioned earlier about that team, they would do whatever it took to win, and they really come fired up. And then when Sean York scored that goal, it was a matter of, relief and excitement.
And the puck cleared to center ice. Dolak can't find it. Here comes York, 2-on-1. York and Lapierre. York shoots, goal! John York is mauled by his teammate. Number 23, Sean York scores a goal. The Chilliwack Chiefs force game number 7.
But right away, it was a matter of, let's capture that energy and let's close it right now because we need it for Game 7. Even going in there for Game 7, I didn't feel we had the same energy early in the game. We got down 3-1 and 3 goals to 1. But it was a matter, as that game went along, Game 7, I think we seemed to just get more energy and play better and more confident, and it was just a feeling that you knew, especially with that group of kids, that they were going to win.
After knocking out Kelowna in 7 games, the Chiefs faced Powell River in the BCJHL Finals. After taking 3 of the first 4 games, the team had a chance to wrap it up on home ice.
The series against Powell River as a whole, as I mentioned, we took nothing for granted, but it was somewhat anticlimactic. We totally expected to win that series after knocking off Kelowna. We get into the first 2 games at home and took care of business, and I think there was an anticipation that we could have and should have wrapped it up in Powell River. As it worked out, we ended up coming back to the full barn in Chilliwack, and it was a special night.
The biggest thing that I remember in that game was the atmosphere. After the game and later on, it was, the atmosphere was the big thing. That was the excitement. I mean, right from the puck drop, it was just a buzz in there constantly, and, being up 3-1. I think the fans knew, everybody knew that if we played our game, that we should win that game, and everybody was just electrical in there. And for me, it was a matter of going back, and I said earlier, just with the right group and so on, you could just feel when I first moved to Chilliwack that they just wanted to grasp onto something, and you could feel that was right there. It had happened, that they were all about the Chilliwack Chiefs. That night in particular, just made the Chilliwack Chiefs what the Chilliwack Chiefs are today.
After defeating Powell River, the Chiefs went on to the Doyle Cup and were matched up against the Alberta champion Calgary Canucks. The stakes were high, with the winner headed to Ottawa for the national championships. Chiefs marketing director Barry Douglas has been associated with the team since their inaugural season.
We held that 3-1 series lead. We were feeling pretty good about ourselves, but of course went to Game 6 and went to Game 7, and Calgary prevailed and went on to the Royal Bank Cup, and it was quite a sad trip back from Calgary. But once we got back, we were able to realize that it was quite the accomplishment. That team bringing Chilliwack its first ever BCHL championship, and what a bunch of characters with Zerba and Nelson and Sandback and all those guys. What a great year of memory. We prevailed and went on to the Royal Bank Cup, and it was quite a sad trip back from Calgary. But once we got back, we were able to realize that it was quite the accomplishment. That team bringing Chilliwack its first ever BCHL championship, and what a bunch of characters with Zerba and Nelson and Sandback and all those guys. What a great year of memories.
Zerba, he's a type of player that will do, I can't say do anything to win, but do the necessary things to win. And he's a kid that you'd love to have on your team. You hate playing against him, but you'd love to have on your team. And Peter Zerba is, I like to think of Peter Zerba as typical Harvey Smeal hockey. I just think that what he brought to the program or to the ice was unbelievable.
The following season, led by 17-year-old scoring sensation Sean Horkoff, the Chiefs finished first overall and entered the playoffs as favorites to capture another BCJHL championship. In the second round versus the Langley Thunder, Horkoff was injured, and the Chiefs were upset in 7 games.
I did something that I normally do. Early in the game, I tried to double shift Sean. One, they were playing a set pair of defense against him and had someone checking him, so we thought we'd do that, and it happened on the second part of the double shift is when he got hit, and I kind of, I don't normally do that sort of thing. We mix and matches and so on and so forth, but that early in the game I felt that maybe I shouldn't have done that, because Sean was such a big piece of it, and we certainly missed him in Game 7. I mean, Game 7 I thought we really outplayed Langley in a big way, and we just couldn't get any past. I can think of Longpre having 2 or 3 unbelievable chances in the third period late and not capitalizing. I think we lost 4-3 or 3-2. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So that's that you kind of do things out of the box sometimes, and then you think whether it's the right thing to do or not. But I mean, it happened, and kicked my butt for a long time.
Clearing to take the face off. The game is over, and the Langley Thunder have defeated the Chilliwack Chiefs in 7 games, 4 games to 3.
The next 2 seasons, the Chiefs were swept out of the playoffs by their arch rivals, the Surrey Eagles.
Simmons Now on the end board, check on Murphy, waiting for the score! There. Gets it ahead to Shane Costin. He just deflects it out to center ice. Now Nichols in his own zone. He banks off the boards. Spitsnetz intercepts it, comes back inside the zone. Spitsnetz moves right in, shoots, and scores! The Chiefs need the next goal. They don't want to get down 3-0. Now it's center ice. Spitsnetz on the right side. Carries another, takes a shot, he scores! Another goal between the legs of the goaltender. At the right point. Takes a look. Has time to set up. Lots of room out there. Now for Cuss at the left point. Spinning around. Takes a look. Puts it in the corner. Lattery in there with Nichols on the end boards. Not a Gomez. Back to Spitsnetz. Takes a shot. Right on the rebound. They score! Lattery! Right from close range by Lattery. Puck here to the line. Kept in. Cross-ice pass for Spitsnetz. To Vandermeer. Takes a shot off a stick. Never did get to McNelly. Now Spitsnetz again. Moving right in on goal. Shoots. Scores! Well, Chilliwack had it. Centers it right across.
The Chiefs got another crack at them in the 1999 semifinals. The team fell behind 3-1, but battled back to force a Game 7 in Surrey.
For 2 years prior to that, when they were beating us, they just forced everywhere, and it was no different that year. So the winning goal in the 7th game is something that we talked about for 3 years, about make sure that we chip and support in the neutral zone because their D-men were coming, and sure enough, that's what we did, and Yopik got the breakaway.
Off the boards for Bunga. Bunga to Jeff Yopik. Yopik coming in all alone. Jeff Yopik makes the move. He scores! Yes, Chiefs win. I'll say it again. Yopik scores! That's a celebration again, Chiefs fans. For the first time since 94-95, you're up to the BC Hockey League final. What a beautiful goal!
In the 1999 league finals, the Chiefs were defeated in 5 games by the Vernon Vipers. Chilliwack returned the favor the following year by beating Vernon in 5 games to take the 2000 league championship. The Chiefs advanced to the national championships in Fort McMurray, Alberta, where in the sudden death semifinal, they fell 2-1 to the Rayside SaberCats.
We peppered him in the last minute and a half, and Travis, who had played extremely well for us that year, if there's someone that's going to score that goal, it's probably Travis, and he hit the goalpost or crossbar, I couldn't remember, so right there then you knew it was time. But that year was exciting. I mean, it was, once again, good character kids, good solid bunch of kids, fun to work with that group.
In the bronze medal game, the Chiefs defeated North Battleford on an overtime goal by Rob Marshall.
It's all over, and Chilliwack has won the bronze.
The 2001-2002 season was one to remember because the Chiefs set team records for most wins in a season and captured their 3rd BCHL championship.
With that hockey club, there were just so many key players. There's just so many good players on that team. Probably, the skill part of the game, that team may have brought the most. The other teams that won those league titles, there was some good skill, but there was probably a little bit more character.
I'd have to say the 2002 run to the Royal Bank Cup was a real highlight. That whole year, you never had to worry about the Chiefs losing when you came to watch them. I think they only lost about 2 games that I saw the whole year. It was just an amazing season, and a number of those kids are now playing in the NHL, playing at a very, very high level. What an amazing year that was. That's the highlight for me.
The Chiefs also captured their first Doyle Cup championship when they knocked off the Alberta champion Drayton Valley Thunder in a thrilling series.
It was Game 6. Bobby Henderson took a shot from the point. It was a very large rebound. Dave Van Gogh had great patience, went backhand to forehand, and scored top shelf.
In the semifinals, the Chiefs were upset 4-3 by the Manitoba champion OCN Blizzard.
We're playing in the semifinal game against OCN of Manitoba, a team that we had taken care of during the round robin, and that most people thought that we would take care of again. And unfortunately, it was a very well played game with just a couple of mistakes made.
Fran almost caught Tyler Spice. McKinnon now will stick handle out of his own zone down the left side. McKinnon with speed, trying to get around Koss all the way in. McKinnon shoots, score!
In the 2002-2003 season, the the Chiefs went to the league finals against Vernon, which they lost in 4 straight games. There was one more season at the Chilliwack Coliseum before the teams moved to the Prospera Center. The Chiefs continued to attract the most fan support of any junior A hockey team in Canada, with more than 80,000 fans in the seats per season. But this story is not just about wins, losses, and stats. It's about an organization, and it's about passion.
Well, Chief Wanawin's our biggest supporter, no doubt about that. He gets himself out in the community as much as anybody, and does such a great job of it. Kids see him and know him right away. He's just such a popular figure in and around Chilliwack, as well as in the paper and on the internet, and Chief Wanawin's one of a kind. He's the best of the best when it comes to mascots.
I've been doing this for 11 years now. All started out being a dare by my high school teacher, said whoever got the job got an A in his class. I went out, I got the job. Since then, it's becoming more of a hobby. It's more of just a fun thing to do. My kids love it, all the other kids love it, so I stuck around, and well, I guess I'm still here right till the end. Highlights that I've had since being Chief Wanawin would be the 2 national championships, the one in Fort McMurray, and then again in Halifax. Fort McMurray, I think, was the better one, not making either gold medal game, but the response from the crowd and all the publicity and the people up there just took a better reaction to it. It was a good time for me. I think that was probably my best year.
Andrew Braithwaite's going to cover things up with 3:52 to go here in the first, and a 1-0 Chilliwack lead.
Play-by-play announcer Vonnie DeBartolo joined the Chiefs in the summer of 2003.
I had the pleasure, I guess, if you will, to call that game, the Langley-Chilliwack game, back at the old Coliseum on Corbould Street. You don't see it too often if you're a goaltender with a 1-goal lead to try and hit the empty net. It's the first junior A goalie to ever hit a net in Curtis Darling, and it was just a blast. The electric crowd at the Coliseum rose to their feet, and I remember seeing Sean Strike, the veteran defenseman for the Langley Hornets, just jumping off the bench, and he knew that Langley at the time was in a race for the top spot with the Chiefs that year. They needed the points badly. Boy, that puck was set to call that game, the Langley-Chilliwack game, back at the old Coliseum on Corbould Street. You don't see it too often if you're a goaltender with a 1-goal lead to try and hit the empty net. It's the first junior A goalie to ever hit a net in Curtis Darling, and it was just a blast. The electric crowd at the Coliseum rose to their feet, and I remember seeing Sean Strike, the veteran defenseman for the Langley Hornets, just jumping off the bench, and he knew that Langley at the time was in a race for the top spot with the Chiefs that year. They needed the points badly. Boy, that puck was sent down the ice. Darling, he knew it as soon as he was the best goalie that I've seen in a long, long time handling the puck. He practiced every day. Just shooting it, and that pass was right in the air, all the way down the ice, and it only took a couple of bounces at Strike. Give him credit, a head of steam off the bench, head first, swiped at it with his stick, and he just barely missed it, and it went in the empty net, and all of a sudden the roof rose at the Coliseum, and Darling scored the first ever goal as a goaltender, lifting the Chiefs to victory that night. But it was a very interesting game, exciting. I'll never forget that game for Chilliwack.
Developing young men into kids that'll be well respected within our community or society, for that matter, is what we're about.
One of the big things that I've been a part of in the community is the Read with the Chiefs program, that we go to different schools.
The Chiefs come in and they read to the children, and I'm a big believer in having lots of reading activities. So they come in and read, both Chiefs, and then they answer questions about hockey, and then they actually play hockey with the kids at lunchtime. And so there's a physical education component to the program as well.
Hey, Brad?
For Chiefs trainer Cam Jansen, the line between life at the rink and his personal life is at times blurred. So much so that with the urging of Coach Harvey Smeal, his 2005 wedding was performed on the ice at Prospera Center during the intermission of a Chiefs home game.
You know what?
Come on, come on!
Team's pretty much my life. It's been my life for the time I've been here. Like, you know, if I go with something, I commit to something pretty strong, and I like to commit to it. And you know what? The group of kids we had last year, I was really close to a bunch of them, and they're close with my family, and it came as an idea just doing it with the family and friends, and then Harv brought it out and said, let's do it for the game. It was, I wouldn't change it. I'd do it again. It was awesome. It was everything I thought it would be and more. It was pretty awesome.
When I got involved with the Chiefs, it was because my son was out here playing and had started to play with Harvey Smeal, and we got involved as investors and working with the Brew family that were the owners at the time. Heinz Hasselman at that time and myself bought in with Al Brew. And I think what sets the Chilliwack Chiefs apart is really from the ownership group, and that's Jim Bond and Heinz Hasselman and Harvey Smeal and myself. We really want to grow young people, and I think that's always been our challenge. Growing young people and making sure that they're going on to future things, whether that's in the NCAA, whether that's with Canadian colleges, or whether it's with community colleges, or frankly just growing their hockey career. But Harvey has always looked on that when we take a young fella into our organization, and especially if they're in that grade 12 year, which I think is very pivotal, we want that person to finish school, we want them to grow as an individual. On a typical year, Harvey will send 8 to 9 kids away on scholarships or to university or to other hockey teams.
I'm the Chilliwack Chiefs Education Advisor. We try and market our players. We want to market them. We want them to go to the next level. And we've had guys like Sean Horkoff, who's playing with the Edmonton Oilers. He went to Michigan State. Jason Krog won the Hobie Baker, and Jason played for New Hampshire. Jeff Tambellini, he's currently playing in the AHL, and he went to Michigan. Brian Maloney's in the AHL. So the Chilliwack Chiefs, their priority is to get the player to the next level, hopefully via the NCAA or the college route.
Remember, all these kids live in the community, and because they're in the community, they're our ambassadors to the community. As that grows, people get behind the team, and I think you saw Chilliwack really embrace these 20 young men that were going to play hockey for them and work real hard to go on to their futures. The city saw that, and it was at that point in time that they said we needed a bigger arena and we needed a bigger place to play out of. So when the mayor challenged us, Clint Hames, to build an arena and work with an arena, we got involved with our partner on the team at that time, Jim Bond. The Brew family had moved on, and Jim had come in as the partner at that point. We challenged Jim to say, how can we go ahead and put together an arena? And you might want to talk about the arena part.
For me, it was a great experience. Maury and I and all our people spent a lot of time traveling around BC, looking at all the arenas in BC. Put the project together, the business side with the city. We put the design and facility together, and we were able to build it.
Last time we played these guys, there was somebody that we wanted to key on. Anybody have any thoughts there? Making sure that we don't let them carry the puck. Power play, guys. When we swing our guys into the sides like that, all right, we step out here. Their first forechecker swings with that. The other guy's sitting up here. So what we want to do is bring it out. We want to line up one of the forwards there. We can run it right up there, and then we chip to these guys. Discipline. We talked about this last game. You're thinking about winning the game, not getting back. Under control at all times, all right? We made this best of 3 series. You guys are on 1 game and none. All right? What's your last start?
I guess on behalf of our ownership group, and on behalf of Jim Bond and Heinz Hasselman and myself and Harvey Smeal, we'd sure like to thank you, the fan, and also the volunteer that have helped us be so successful in this community. It's been a lot of fun.
I want to congratulate everybody, the fans, the volunteers, the staff, and everybody who has helped make 16 years of Chiefs hockey so memorable. Congratulations to all of you.
Well, I'd like to pass on the congratulations to the Chiefs organization back from when it started in 1990, right here to 2006, the present time. The Chiefs making a strong season here in 05-06, and all the best in the future as they continue on in the BCHL.
After 16 years of Chilliwack Chiefs hockey, thank you to all who were involved right from day one, whether that's at the ticket wicket or up in the stands cheering, supporting the team financially, playing on the ice and scoring goals and maybe dropping the gloves at times. Congratulations on being a part of a very special thing, both to my family and certainly to the city of Chilliwack. Thank you again.
I guess just to, kind of sum it all up, I mean, you got to congratulate what this franchise has done. The people that really got it going, and I'm thinking of Al and Sheila Brew, Rich, Russell, all the guys that used to come out here. Al, like as I said before, is one of the greatest people you will ever meet, not only in sports but in life. And Maury and Jim and Hines, the people that run the franchise now. I congratulate these people, especially Harvey Smeal. Harvey's been a tremendous guy to work with. I've watched this team for 14 of the 16 years. It's been a big part of my life, and Harvey Smeal's made it fun to come to the rink. I've often bugged him that he takes away some of the spice of the job because they never get to kind of be critical of his teams because they win all the time. But I'll take that any time, and I think a lot of the kudos must go to Harvey Smeal because he's done the job.
When we move our hockey team, wherever we move our hockey team to, we plan on we plan on being part of the community. We plan on everything that I've talked about as the Chiefs family. We plan on just like a family moving from one community to the other. We plan on taking what we have here and just putting it into another community. And wherever we put that team, I think it's going to be a benefit for that community because of what you see we have here. It works for both. It works well for the Chiefs. It works well for the community. There's a love affair there. And we're going to just move this and just do what we've done here in another community. I think it'll be good for the Chiefs, and I think it'll be fantastic for the community. So it's an exciting thing that's going on. Emotional as hell, but exciting.